there's another question on the call, go right ahead. Good morning, sister. Where you calling from? From Florida. All righty. Go right ahead with your question. Okay. 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 Who was all in the conference? Okay. And the teacher walked out. Okay. Well, for me, I think that was very inappropriate. I think that was very inappropriate. And I think that you should follow up with a email, a complaint to the principal. And I would probably carbon copy the superintendent on my email, because that was very unprofessional. It showed a very low commitment and tolerance for both you and your child. Schools don't exist for teachers. Schools exist for the children. So I take issue with the way in which that teacher conducted herself. I think a letter needs to go to the principal, carbon copy the superintendent, requesting another meeting, and also requesting that some sort of disciplinary action or at least warning be taken against that teacher. That teacher had no right to get up and walk out of the meeting. That was very, very inappropriate. It shows that she doesn't care also. And if things don't go her way, then she will just simply abdicate the whole process. So it's time for another meeting. You might even request that someone from the central office, someone from central administration comes to the next meeting to make sure things go the way that they're supposed to go. But you cannot let that go. You cannot let that go. Follow up with a letter as soon as possible. When was the meeting? The meeting was on December 1st. Yeah. It's time for another meeting, and definitely get your letter out. Don't let too much time pass. Get that letter out. Definitely get that letter out. And make sure you keep good notes. Make sure you keep very, very good notes. You need to write about that meeting. You need to write about what happened, what transpired, the way it affected you, not just for the letter you're about to send, but you're going to need to keep a paper trail on her. Keep a paper trail, because she seemed like she may be emotionally unstable, at least when it comes to dealing with your child. And so you need to keep a very good paper trail in case you have to take this issue further. Because do keep in mind, is this teacher black or white? Okay, white teacher. Do keep in mind that if it continues, you can always contact the United States Department of Education Office of Civil Rights and file a complaint against that teacher and against the principal for allowing the teacher to do what they do on the grounds of racial discrimination. Is the school mostly black students or mostly white, or what's the student breakdown? Okay, a mix of Mexican, black, and white. Okay, the black kids are they in the majority or the minority? Or is it an equal split? Okay, no problem. Okay, but yeah, just dot your I's and cross your T's, but definitely get that letter out now. Every time we have a meeting, even if the meeting goes favorable, we need to follow up with an email all the time. All right. No problem. No problem. Thank you. Is there another question on the call this morning?
Yes, Dr. Umar, how are you?
How we doing there, good sister?
I'm doing well, thank you. I really, like, truly need your help right now.
Go right ahead.
Alrighty. This is really, yeah. I have my son Ethan, and I'm trying to take him out of the school as far as, excuse me, as far as with, sorry, I'm a little nervous, right?
That's okay.
Special education. Every time I see him, I talk to him. He's so like, and I explained to him what he does before. I had no idea. Now I have all the information I need, but they're giving me hell to take him out. Literally. And I've already had I had a hearing, and they are not, trying to put him, I'm sorry, in a private school. It's like a special ed school, and that's not what I want. So I'm just confused altogether, and I need to get your help.
What grade is the child?
Third.
And you said that they're willing to put him in a special education school, approved private school?
Correct, but I don't want him in that at all, as far as an IEP or anything like that. I don't want it.
Okay, you don't want it at all. What is he in special education for? What is his special ed classification? Is it learning disability? Is it emotional?
Health impairment. No, health impairment. I don't even know what that means, but health impairment.
Okay, let me explain that to you. Other health impairment is the 13th category of special education. And basically what other health impairment says is if a child has a medical condition, if they have a health impairment or medical condition that affects their ability to learn, they can qualify for special ed. So what is the medical impairment? Is it ADHD?
It's ADHD.
Okay, which in my opinion is a fraud. Okay, so he's diagnosed with ADHD.
No, it actually is, but go ahead, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I don't want to interrupt you.
Okay, ADHD. Well, first of all, it sounds like that I agree with you, because ADHD is largely, even if you agree with the diagnosis, ADHD is a behavioral syndrome. It is not a learning issue. Now, you can go to special ed for ADHD if it affects your child's ability to learn. So my question for you is your son, is his academic progress being affected by this so-called ADHD, or is he able to do well in the classroom? Can he learn? What does his grades look like? What did his first marking period grades look like, or second marking period?
They were good.
What do you mean good? A, B, B, C? What were they?
A, B.
Okay, so if he has A's and B's, there's clearly no adverse effect on learning. If your son has A's and B's, it is clearly no adverse effect on learning. I do not see a need for special ed. Now, he might need a 504 plan. A 504 plan is an accommodation plan. It differs from the special ed IEP in that there is no modification of instruction for a 504 kid. Special ed kids receive...
Now, I understand, Dr. Umar,
right,
but I don't even want him to receive anything from that school.
Okay, let me finish this though. Let me finish this, and I'm gonna
right.
tell you why I'm doing this. Okay, so with the 504, the child can get an accommodation, a behavior plan, regular breaks from the class, one-on-one aid, that type of a thing. Now, so you have IEP for ADHD, To get an IEP, the ADHD must be affecting learning. Your son's learning is not being affected. You get a 504 if the behavior is affecting his ability to function in school. Okay, and then you have the third category, which is a kid with ADHD who doesn't need either a 504 or an IEP because his ADHD doesn't affect his learning and is not affecting his functioning in school. So are you telling me that your son doesn't have any behavior challenges?
From what I know or from what I see, I can't even say yes because, oh man, okay, Dr. Umar, we need to talk. Like, I don't know how it's going to work as far as, you know, if...
Do me a favor. Do me a favor. This is Liddy from New York, right?
I'm sorry?
Is this Sister Liddy from New York?
Oh my God, yes, that's me.
Yes, I remember you. I remember you. Well, let's do this then. Send me a text. I have to evaluate some children at a school today in Philadelphia, so I won't be free until the end of the school day, which is about 3 o'clock. But if you text me after 3, me and you can have a conversation.
That sounds great.
Okay, but let me say this. If you do not want him in special ed, then remember, IEP team is program, placement, progress. It sounds like you want to end the program and change the placement. Take him out of special ed and get him out the special ed class.
I'm sorry, say that again?
The IEP team's responsibilities are program design, placement determination, and progress monitoring. Program design, placement determination, and progress monitoring. It sounds like you want to end the special ed program and you want to end his placement in the special ed class. That can be done at an IEP meeting. The only way they can keep your kid in special ed against your will is if they take you to due process with the state. So all you really have to do is call an IEP meeting and exit your son. Really, that's it. So he's out of special ed.
No, he is still in there. I had an IEP meeting on the 1st. Then it was like a halfway thing, and then they said, okay, we're going to go ahead to continue this on the 14th. And I got me a lawyer, you know, for free and stuff like that, and she's explaining to me that he can go to a school, but it'll have to be a certain type of school, like, as you said earlier, a state-approved school. But those state-approved schools, they're talking about autism and deafness and
right. But if you want them out of special ed, but if you want them out of special ed, there is no conversation about an approved private school. Approved private schools are for special ed kids, so there's no conversation. Yes, basically yes. They're not going to pay for a private school for a regular kid. Rarely does that ever happen. So if he's going to an approved private school, that means he's still classified as special ed, or they still want to classify him. But here's the question. If he doesn't have behavior problems, why do they want to move him out of the school? That's what I'm not understanding. If he does not have behavior problems.
No, I want to move him because here it is. Ethan, he was in a charter school. I'm sure you heard all the issues and the stories about charter schools.
Sure.
That's just a whole conversation for another day. So I removed him. At that time, he was ICT, right? So when I moved him to his school in the zone school, they didn't have an ICT class. During that time, I was an idiot. In a sense, I can't say I was too stupid, but I didn't know the ins and outs of it. So they didn't have an ICT class. So I had to sign so he could be put in a 12 one-to-one class, which was a different situation. I didn't know that 12 one-to-one in that school because also I'm a substitute teacher, and I've taught 12 one-to-one. Those classes are really a little out of touch, but once you have an instructor that's going to help those kids, of course it's going to have those, the 2 or 3s that are just like extra, But other than that, it is not a horrible class. So now that he's 8 years old, right? Now he's in his fighting. So what's happening to me that I see, the whole class in itself is not so decent. So Ethan is a punk. Like, when I'm hearing that Ethan is fighting, I'm like, I'm fighting? Who's he fighting?
Okay.
That was interesting. So it's like everything is just new to me, to see him and how he's acting, and it's all about, oh, Ethan's aggressive, his behavior. I mean, I could understand that he would be in a class like that. That makes sense that he would act that way. So,
Okay.
I don't get it.
Well, see, I'm going to go back to my point, though. I'm still not understanding why there's any talk of a different... Okay, you want him in another class because you don't feel that he's learning, or you don't feel that he's safe. Is that correct? You want him in a different school?
That is correct.
Okay, so you want him in a different school, not for special ed. You just want him in a better environment.
Correct.
Then you know what I would do?
What?
Strategically, if you exit him from special ed before he's transferred to another school, you cannot force them to put a regular ed kid in a different school. You cannot force them to put a regular ed kid in a different school. So what I would do is I would keep him in special ed until he's transferred to another school, because if you're not comfortable with the placement as a special ed kid, they have to move it. So if you have an idea of a school that you want him to go to, whether it's a neighborhood school or a private school, and you already said you don't want him in a private school, is there another neighborhood school that you would rather prefer your son attend?
I do.
Okay. So if that's the case, I would go to the IEP meeting and say, you know what? I don't agree with this placement. I want my son to go to this school. I'm not going to sign the IEP unless we approve of my request. And then after your son gets to the new school, then you exit him out of special ed, and now he's in the new school, and there's nothing they can do about it. That's one of those tricks that I often tell parents to use.
That's the thing, and the thing is that I understood that to be, but the way they move, Dr. Umar, is different. They say certain things that are different, and they're real sneaky in just the school in general. I just don't like it at all. So, all right.
Okay.
So I guess I'll do that, and that's it.
Yeah, but we can talk further. You text me after 3 o'clock. I'll give you a ring.
Absolutely, I'll appreciate that.
Okay. I'll also be speaking in Queens on Sunday, the Jamaica Performing Arts Center.
I'm gonna be there.
Okay. No problem. So keep me posted.
All right.
All right.
Take care.
Is there another question on the call this morning?
Yeah, hello, Jen.
Yes, ma'am. Where are you calling from?
I didn't know. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Where are you calling from?
From Ohio. Ohio.
From Ohio. Go right ahead, sister.
I am a mother of 4, and this current year, my kids have been through quite a bit of transition with me and my husband. And we, business owners, we just lost our restaurant. We had to move a couple of times. So now my daughter is in, all of my children are in the new schools. And overall, they're adjusting pretty well, but my 9-year-old is in the 4th grade, and she's beginning to have some behavioral issues at school that are out of my control, or not out of my control, but that I'm not experienced with. She's our middle daughter, and I have been to the school several times. I've scheduled a meeting to sit into her class. I signed her up with a behavioral therapist that they have at the school. I was very clear with them that I don't do the ADHD, the ADD, the medication, any of those things. So we just kind of need to get to the problem, and I'm hoping to get some resources from the therapist there. Meanwhile, while I'm setting up these services, my daughter doesn't have any friends. She is bright, but she is boisterous, and when people are mean to her, she acts out, which I think up until, the 2000s, it was natural for children to respond when people are mean to them. But now, She's being isolated. And the teacher that she has is a male teacher. He's Latino. I think he's in his late 30s, early 40s. And he antagonizes her. For instance, yesterday, he said to her she needed assistance. So she raised her hand. He has a couple of kids that have severe behavior issues in his class. And I worked in education for a while, so I know what that's like as far as classroom management in his dynamic. But this is how he responded to her. She raised her hand. He told her he didn't have time to help her. He could tutor her after school, during recess tomorrow. She said, okay. The other kids began to tease her, saying that she didn't understand and she wasn't smart. He then responded to her like, well, I guess you need one-on-one. Well, she thought that he was serious, and so she responded, yes, I do. And then the other kids started joking and laughing at her, and she doesn't have the tools at 9 to be an adult. And so the adult is being the child. And I have emailed him, I have called him, and I've left messages. I spoke to him once because I caught him in the hallway, and I'm setting up a visit hopefully this week. And I don't know what to do, so I was trying to give you some basis of kind of where we are and see what are the things that me and my husband could do to help her with this transition because she feels alone at school.
Okay, and what grade is she in?
She's in the 4th grade.
Okay, and you and your husband are going through a divorce? What is the trend?
No, not at all.
What is the trend?
Actually, very healthy. We just lost our restaurant. We're entrepreneurs, so we moved this year. They had to change schools. We owned a family business. We just had to close our restaurant down about a month ago. So we're just trying to give you some background on like the transition she's been through because of that.
So she's at a new school.
Financial burden.
How long has she been at the new school?
This is going on the 3rd month.
Okay, this is going on. So y'all left what, October?
Yeah, so right when school started in September, we were in a predominantly white community, and they were going to a school. When we had to move, we were homeless for 2 months. We lived in a hotel. When we had to move, we transitioned there to a charter school. All 4 of them. They were in the charter school for less than a month, and then they went to the school that they're at now. So there were 2 different schools that they were at within a 30-day period. So this started happening right at the beginning of the school year, which is ideally the worst possible thing you could do to a kid, in my opinion.
Okay. Let me ask you a question. How many different schools has your daughter attended since kindergarten? 4 schools since kindergarten. 4 schools since kindergarten. So on average, about 1 a year.
Yes, sir.
And the problem she's having at the school, you said she doesn't have any friends, which to some extent is understandable since she just got there. It takes some time to build that. So I'm not particularly concerned about that yet. It could be a social skills issue here, but it could just also be the fact that she needs to become more familiar with the students who are there, unless it's just a hostile environment. You know, there could be school factors involved here that have nothing to do with the transition itself. So she doesn't have friends, but she's not getting into fights or being bullied, correct?
She's being bullied, not fight. At this time. Arguments, she's been in a couple girl arguments. Not physical fights, but I don't know, the word bully is thrown around a lot. Kids tease her a lot is the word that I want to use.
Okay, and what are they teasing her about?
Well, she's a little bit heavier and taller than the other, 4th graders. She's getting braces, so her teeth are not straight. Normal 9-year-old problems, I think. She's very boisterous. She's very outspoken, and she gets ridiculed for that. So if you're mean to her or her sisters, she's gonna say something to you. And it's not always. She doesn't like to tease people about their physical image, but she can say hurtful things. And I'm not sure that the other children know how to take that. So I'm learning that there may be some social things going there, or it could just be the amount of adjustments. And the other problem is that my two other daughters, we have 4 kids at the house right now. We have 3 girls and our son. My other 2 girls don't have problems making friends, and she knows that. And I think that makes it even more difficult for her.
Okay. So we have self-esteem issues on top of the fact that the learning environment is constantly being transitioned, changed, or switched. With the self-esteem, I think she's going to need some counseling. She's a little larger, a little taller than the other girls, and then she's going to get braces soon. So clearly there's some self-esteem stuff at play here. I think that you should get her some counseling. I definitely think she's going to need counseling. What you can do is you can text me, and I'll give you my phone number now, and I will send you the contact information for the Association of Black Psychologists. In fact, I can give it to you now if you have a pen. And you can call them or email them and just tell them you need a referral for a psychologist in your area that works with female students, adolescents, pre-adolescents.
Okay.
And the number is 301-449-3082. Again, that's 301-449-3082. And the email address, if you prefer the email, is info, I-N-F-O, at abpsi.org. Again, that's A for association, B for black, P for psychology, S for strong, I for individual. Info at abpsi.org. That's the black psychologist. But also, it wouldn't hurt to Google search counselors, therapists, and social workers in your area as well. The psychologist has the most expertise in training next to the psychiatrist. But a therapist, a counselor, or social worker can also do a good job working for your daughter, working with your daughter also. But get her some help there. And then you guys, and I definitely understand this, you know, the business dynamic of having to uproot and move at different points unexpectedly. But we got to try to get her some stability. We got to try to get her some stability. Her constantly moving to the different schools isn't serving the need for her to achieve some sort of control, if you would, over her environment. It's going to be difficult for her to master the environment if the environment keeps shifting. So we got to try to, you know, get her some stability there. She's in the 4th grade. The school that she attends goes up to what grade?
To 6.
To 6. So we got 4th, 5th, and 6th. The other thing, too, we got to study whether or not this is a good school, because you may very well have to put her on the waiting list for some charter schools out there in Ohio. You know, you got to study the charter schools, though. Some are better than others, but you may have to get her on the waiting list for the charter schools, because you might find a charter school that might be a little bit better, have a better social atmosphere for her. We got to realize we're dealing with a delicate child here, low self-esteem, constant transitions, the weight, the height, the braces, you know, so she's going to need a supportive environment. In fact, I don't think it would be a bad idea if you wrote a letter to the principal requesting a meeting between you, the principal, and the teacher to talk about your daughter's needs. I think that's perfectly healthy. In fact, what you could do is you could do it before you start counseling, and then you could do another one with the counselor, so the counselor can be there to back you up to say, yes, I'm meeting with her, and not to tell your daughter's business, because that's none of the school's business, but yes, I'm meeting with her, and she's going to need us to be supportive of her in the school environment. You're definitely within your right as a parent to request a meeting with the principal and the teacher to express your concerns there. But go ahead.
I have 2 questions. One is that the school changing. This is a good school, we got it on a whim, and I see with any school that London has been at that there's been a little bit of difficulty with that. So I think you're onto something with disability, of course. Trying to keep her there. I have met with the principal, so I will send out the email. The therapist that she's going to be seeing is at the school. She is a black woman. She's the behavioral therapist there. Do you think I need an outside therapist as well?
Okay. Your daughter's about to meet with the behavior therapist at the school. I, speaking as both a school psychologist and a former school principal, I'm not comfortable with black parents letting their children receive counseling through the school system. In my experience, school counselors and school social workers and school therapists have done a lot of harm to our children and our families, because what many of them often do is get into your personal family business and never get around to helping your child. It's more of an investigation of home life than it is about actually serving our children. So I'm not going to tell you to not let her meet with the behavior therapist, but you need to be very careful about that. Very careful, because that is a gateway into your personal business. Her meeting with your daughter is a gateway into the personal business of your family. If it were me, I would only get outside counseling. I would only get outside counseling. But if you say, hey, listen, you know, we ain't really got nothing in our closet. We ain't got no skeletons. There's really nothing they can do. You know, our situation is pretty stable and healthy. So, you know, I'm not too concerned about that. Then so be it. Go ahead and have her meet with her. But at the same time, you want to talk to your daughter about what's being discussed. You want to ask her, are they asking any questions about the family? And you want to also prepare her and let her know that you are not supposed to discuss any family business with that therapist. If she starts asking anything about our family, then you should tell her that my mother and father do not allow me to answer family questions. You're going to have to direct those to her. But you can also preface the counselor if you want. Sometimes it's a good thing and a bad thing by letting them know, listen, I don't want questions asked about my family. This is about my daughter. But sometimes when you do that, they might feel that you're being defensive, and then they'll try to dig anyway because it looks like you have something to hide. So that's a kind of delicate way to move. You got to kind of decide what's best for the family. Do we tell the counselor up front, don't be asking my kids about our personal business? Do we just monitor the child? And if the child says, yeah, the counselor is beginning to ask questions that are not appropriate, then you can say something to the counselor after the fact. But you definitely want to monitor that. I'm telling you, those counselors and social workers, all they do is dig into family business and cause problems many of the times. Don't get me wrong, there's exceptions to the rule, and I do know exceptions to the rule, but those exceptions are few and far in between. So proceed with caution in letting your daughter work with the behavior therapist at the school.
Okay, could you give me an example of a family question so I know what to look for? What would be general, just trying to establish a basis for my daughter versus
how often do you see your parents, at school? Do you have your own room at home? How many bedrooms are in your house? Is your daddy there every night? I mean, stuff that doesn't have, direct questions. Do your parents smoke? Do you ever smell anything in the house? Questions that have nothing. Yes, almost like a police officer. Almost like
interrogating questions.
Interrogating questions. Questions that have nothing to do with your daughter.
I feel comfortable enough, so that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
I really appreciate this, Dr. Umar. I think you're doing great work.
Thank you.
And thank you so much.
No
I'll
problem.
reach out again if needed, and I'll follow up. Have a good day.
You too now. You too. Is there another question on the call this morning?
Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Where are you calling from?
I have a question. Hello?
Yes. Where are you calling from?
I'm from Kellis, New Jersey. I actually have my son is actually pretty young, so I'm not sure if this and 3 is a little premature. He actually just went into kindergarten in September. He's 5. He'll be 6 later on this month. But he's a really, really smart kid for his age. And at the beginning of the school year, well, actually in August, they did somewhat of a evaluation. It was a very light evaluation for kids. It was something that he basically breezed through. And the advice that I was given at the time by the instructor who gave the evaluation was to speak to his kindergarten teacher, because she felt that he would be really bored because of how smart he was, and that he probably needed more advanced studies. So I felt the same. I actually agree with her because I know that he's a smart kid. So I did speak to his kindergarten teacher early in the year, and I let her know what his abilities were and things of that nature, because I sort of wanted to give her a heads up on what he could do, and maybe that would help her sort of guide him in the right direction. So when I spoke to her back in September, she didn't seem at all responsive. She actually seemed like she didn't even want to talk to me. So, I didn't want to overthink it. I left it alone, but I did speak to the principal because I didn't get the answers from her that made me feel comfortable, as if she really took what I was saying seriously. So when I spoke to the principal back in September, she sort of gave me a little bit of a layout of what they do in the kindergarten curriculum in this particular class, or in really all of the classes. And I figured, okay, I'll take that explanation for now and, stay in communication with the teacher, give it a little while for him to be evaluated by his teacher and see how that goes. We're now into early December, and I've seen some changes that I'm absolutely not comfortable with my son. And my son is, as I mentioned, he's very smart, but he seems extremely uninterested in going to school. The only thing he cares about in school is playing. It's very different from what he has been used to. And I don't like the change. I have met with the principal within the past, I want to say, week. I met with her last week, and I did bring to her examples that he did in his school last year. And all of the work that he's doing is first grade, possibly second grade level. And my meeting with her, it went okay, but, she didn't recommend that I move him from his class, and I certainly felt otherwise. I feel that the placement within his current kindergarten class, it was just a poor placement. I also know that his teachers, she doesn't seem like she has a lot of effort into doing her job. I'm also aware that there have been other parents to meet with the principal about this teacher. Now, my question really is, I had a follow-up with the principal. I asked her to move him, and she declined for whatever reason. I'm not certain, but I did go to the Board of Education because his answer for me was absolutely unacceptable. I'm also aware that because we are an African-American family, and I think it may be a little bit obvious to them that I am a single parent, I'm not sure if that's part of the reason why my concerns are being given a backseat. Nevertheless, I did go to the superintendent, and the situation is supposed to be followed up on. My question to you is there anything I really need to be, to have a heads up on with regard to this follow-up?
Okay. Now, you said a lot there. Now, so help me clarify. Your main issue that you're having with the school is what again?
He's declining academically, and it seems that his energy is just gone. Like, there's a disconnect on some level, and it makes me uncomfortable. And my fear is that maybe another 4 months will go by, and it'll just get worse. For example, his, he was reading wonderfully with no problem. In the class, there's not a lot of reading going on in that class. He's doing, as I mentioned, maybe first and second grade math. They're just learning numbers. So I wanted him to be moved because if this child is writing sentences using punctuation and the class is learning their letters, there's a clear gap between what he knows and what is being taught in the class. So my concern is the decline that I'm going to continue to see, and nobody seems to be taking as serious as I am.
Okay, and what grade is he?
He's in kindergarten.
He's in kindergarten.
And I know it's a little bit early, but it's just concerning.
Okay, okay, because he's in kindergarten, a lot of what is taught in kindergarten can be reinforced at home and practiced at home. So I don't see anything wrong with you expressing the concern now to catch it early. But I think because he's a kindergartner, as long as you know the lesson that was taught in school that day, you can reinforce it at home. He can practice at home because it's kindergarten. So any of that can be practiced and rehearsed at school, at home. But I do think that you are within your right to get ahead of this before it gets worse, because you do see a gap here that's beginning to grow. So I think the conversation is a necessary one, but I'm also hopeful because since it's only kindergarten, anything that you feel that he's not getting at school, he can get that repetition at home.
Right, yeah, which is what I'm doing. Yeah, I definitely take what they, what I see coming home and, somewhat, I reinforce it. It's just a little bit of a confusion. I just sort of feel like they should take it a little bit more seriously.
Yes, and I think you should express that. Do you have a copy of the school district's curriculum for kindergartners?
No.
You need to get it. You need to get it. You need to call downtown to the Office of Curriculum and Instruction and get a copy of the curriculum. They normally have CDs that they give the parents. Everything is kind of digital now, so they'll probably just give you a flash drive or a CD. That way you can look at the curriculum and see where your son is and see whether or not he's where he should be at this point of the school year. So when you have your conversation, you can be more informed, like based on the curriculum, you guys should be here. And that's not where you guys are. Your conversation will be a lot more effective if you get your hands on that curriculum. You could also go to the State Department of Education website. And what state are you in again? I'm sorry.
In New Jersey.
New Jersey. Okay. And I'll be speaking in Elizabeth, New Jersey on Saturday if you're able to make it. But nonetheless, download the state standards for New Jersey for kindergarten. Download the state standards for New Jersey for kindergarten and compare that to what your child has received so far this school year. Compare that with where the teacher is now in the lesson planning and with the instruction. So when you have your conversation, it'll be a lot more informed because you'll come from a position of knowledge and insight, which is a position of power.
Right.
Based on the state standards. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. The only thing that they told me is that the work that I showed them that he did last year in his preschool is beyond kindergarten, which means they're not going to teach him what he already knows. So they're not going to go beyond what he already knows. So
you're saying the work is too easy?
Generally, yeah. It's
okay.
Basically repetitive of what he did maybe 2 years ago, because what he did last year, they're not there yet.
Okay.
So he's so far ahead that I believe that that's part of why I'm seeing such a change in him.
Okay, well, let me say this.
There's no interest.
Well, let me say this. I believe New Jersey still has a mentally gifted law. Maybe your son need to be tested for giftedness. That's a possible issue here. The other thing, too, is he may need to be put up a grade. He may, if he's advanced, he may need to be put up a grade. And you can ask for the district policy on advancing a child, promoting a child above their grade level. Or the district may have no policy, which means that they can do it, because if there's no policy against it, they can do it. So don't let them tell you that they can't put your child up, because they can. They love to say that they can't, but they can. Because he might very well just be bored. He may very well just be bored. And so we need to consider putting him in a more advanced class, putting him in a more advanced school, advancing him up in grade, or putting him in gifted placement. Okay, so those are the four things. Okay, a different school, a different class, advance them by a grade, or add mentally gifted to the repertoire of instruction. So those are the four things that you need to also have a conversation about. You need to ask the teacher, like, hey, and talk to your son. You know, is the work too easy? Just like you can, you know, when you speak with the teacher, say, listen, you know, would you support my son being advanced by a grade or two? Not to, I would say just start with one because he's only kindergarten. We don't want to advance the kids too much because that can affect them socially and psychologically. But I think it's time to look at something else because he's clearly wasting his time. And this is only December, so we still got a little ways to go this school year. So we got to make sure the little brother is getting what he needs.
Right. Okay, great. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
No problem.
I really appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you.
I'll try to make you another the best. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Before I go to the next call, just to let everyone know, I'll be speaking in Elizabeth, New Jersey at the Mickey Walker Community Center in Elizabeth, New Jersey, this Saturday, December the 10th. I believe the doors open up at 2 and the program starts at 3. Doors open up at 2. Program starts at 3. And then Sunday, I'll be at the Jamaica Performing Arts Center in Jamaica, Queens. Shout out to all my brothers and sisters in New York City. I'll be down in Queens. It'll be my first time presenting in Queens in about 3 years since my last visit there, which was the African Poetry Theater. So looking forward to coming on back to Queens, New York. And then first day of Kwanzaa, we will be in Baltimore. Just added, this is a brand new date. Dr. Umar Johnson will be returning to Baltimore, Maryland, the Downtown Cultural Arts Center, 401 North Howard Street. I repeat, 401 North Howard Street in Baltimore, Maryland, Monday, December the 26th, first day of Kwanzaa, and we're going to talk about Umoja, principle number 1, which is unity. Okay, so that is Monday, December 26th, the Downtown Cultural Arts Center in Baltimore, Maryland. And then Wednesday, the 28th, we will be in Jacksonville, Florida. Wednesday, the 28th, Jacksonville, Florida. Okay, so come on out. My first visit to Jacksonville in about 4 or 5 years. And then on Friday, the 30th, Detroit, Michigan, at the new Greater Mount Moriah Baptist Church. Friday, December 30th, Detroit, Michigan, at the Greater New Moriah Baptist Church, and that is 586 Owen Street in Detroit. And then we go to Atlanta, Georgia. Atlanta, Georgia, New Year's Day, January the 1st, Atlanta, Georgia, Shrine of the Black Madonna. What's that? 5 to 8 program. Doors open up at 3 o'clock. And then Los Angeles, California, the first Saturday of the new year. Los Angeles, California, Saturday, January the 7th. Durham, North Carolina. The Prince of Pan-Africanism is coming back to Durham. My first visit to Durham, North Carolina, since I was Minister of Education for the greatest of organizations, Marcus Garvey's Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League. That was 2004. 2004. So it'll be 13 years, almost 14 years since I've been to Durham, North Carolina. So I'm looking forward to that. I'll be at the Haiti Cultural Center in Durham. And then I'll be in, what else I got coming up? Whole bunch of other dates. If you need to schedule, I always post it on Twitter at Dr. Umar Johnson, Instagram at Dr. Umar Johnson, and of course here on Facebook, Dr. Umar Ifatunde. And for my New York people, let me let you know that, and my Jersey people, I will be on WVIP radio tonight. WVIP radio, 93.5 FM. 93.5 FM, New York City. I will be on the radio tonight to promote both the New York and New Jersey events. And what time is that? 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock tonight, New York City Radio, WVIP 93.5. Make sure you check it on out. Check it on out. All right, let's go back to the calls. Parents, is there another question on the call?
Can I say, I do have one more question. This is the mom from Ohio.
Yes.
Just really quickly, would it be detrimental to her to switch her class if that teacher is not doing what he needs to do? And I'm nervous to suggest that because, A, I don't know if there's an availability for her to go somewhere else, but B, she's been through so much transition. So is it better for me to deal with where she is, throw all my resources at it, or possibly suggest a classroom change?
If the classroom she is in is emotionally or psychologically detrimental to her best interest, she cannot stay in there. She cannot stay in there.
Okay.
And what may have to happen, because principals do not like to transfer kids to other classes. I didn't have a problem with it. In my schools, I did not have a problem transferring a kid from one class to the other. But principals do not like to transfer kids from class to class. So they're probably going to fight you on it. But that's where when you get your counselor, your psychologist, or your therapist, that's where they're going to help you. And that's another reason why having a counselor outside of school, because the counselor in the school is never going to, I don't want to say never, they're not likely to recommend to the principal that your child be transferred elsewhere. They're not likely to recommend to the principal that your child be transferred elsewhere. But the outside counselor, outside psychologist, you can have them write a letter to the principal, carbon copy and the superintendent, that my clinical recommendation is that this child be transferred to another school based on the conversation that I've been having with this child in counseling. This classroom is traumatizing her, or this classroom is not supportive. This classroom is a big piece of her problem. As her counselor, I am recommending to the school district that this child be transferred. And if they don't transfer her, then that's when you can really put pressure on the principal, the superintendent, and the school board. That's why getting an outside counselor can be such a benefit.
Okay, perfect. I really appreciate that again.
No problem. Okay. Yes. Yes.
Hey, how you doing, Doc?
Peace and love. You're on the call, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought because somebody was dialing on my other line, I wasn't sure if I accidentally let them on. Go right ahead, my brother. Where you calling from?
No, I just want to know.
Where you calling from?
You're going to come to Chicago.
Okay. Chicago. I was in Chicago in August, and I'm looking to come back to Chicago in February. I'm looking to come back in Chicago in February. What I need, though, is I need a larger venue for Chicago. I need a larger place to attend in Chicago. That's what I need. So if you know of any places that can hold for Chicago, I'm going to say no less than 500. It has to hold no less than 500 for Chicago. If you know of a place, church or anything like that. For my Chicago people, please, I need a larger venue.
Well, I played basketball at the University of Chicago, and you got a pretty well-known name. I'm pretty sure I talked to some people there and tried to put some swing, maybe I can,
Please do.
Get that pavilion.
Please do.
Pavilion when I used to play basketball. I just think that you speak from the heart, and I really like that. And anyone who's like you, I really don't have any questions about guarantee anything, but I do follow you a lot. I try to incorporate what you say to my kids. I really appreciate it, brother.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you. I appreciate that. Shout out to Chi-Town. And definitely, my brother, keep me posted on that venue piece.
Okay, how can I
Let me give you my number.
get in touch with you?
I'm going to give you my number right now. You ready?
Yeah, let me get a pen so I can write it down.
Okay.
Okay, I'm ready.
It is 215
215
989
989
9858.
9858. Okay, and again, my name is Lucas Boy.
All right.
And I will try my best. I can't make any promises, but I'll definitely try because you got a well-known name, and I'm pretty sure they can have a problem with you coming to speak for knowledge.
Got you. Appreciate that, my brother. Keep me posted.
All right.
All right now. No problem.
All right.
All right.
All right.
Is there another question on the call this morning? Is there another question on the call this morning? Okay. I think we got to everybody. All right, no problem. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and wrap up right now with the Black Parent teleconference. Someone keeps calling my phone from Greenville, South Carolina. I'm not sure who that is, but they're calling back about 5-6 times, but I'm on a teleconference. So whoever that is, please send me a message or something. But nonetheless, Black family, thanks to everyone for chiming in. Don't forget registration for the 2nd annual Black College and Consciousness Tour for 11 to 17-year-old brothers and sisters. I'm going to be doing registration. Hopefully by New Year's Day, I should be ready for that registration for New Year's Day. We're going to be starting and ending in Atlanta, June 28th to July 12th. June 28th to July 12th. 14 days, 14 nights. Your sons and daughters with the Prince of Pan-Africanism. We're going to hit up Morehouse and Clark and Spelman and Fisk, Tennessee State, Lamone Owen College, Oyotunji African Village, National Civil Rights Museum, Charleston Civil War Trail, the Charleston Slavery History, Slave Haven in Memphis, Tennessee, the Alex Haley Museum. We're going to hit it up. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be very, 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 very powerful. Okay, so we're working on that. Make sure you continue to donate. FDMG Academy, P.O. Box 6872, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania 19132. Okay, or donate online, GoFundMe.com/Dr. Umar, GoFundMe.com/Dr. Umar. For this weekend, New Jersey and New York, I need you all to understand that I'm not hosting those events. I'm the keynote speaker. The events that I host are always on Eventbrite, princeofpanafricanism.eventbrite.com. Okay. Elizabeth, okay, that's being hosted by Sister Charlotte and Brother Kenny, my good family up in Elizabeth, New Jersey, who I've known for years, and in Queens, New York, Queen Mother Louise of Dente of Cultural Caravan. So if you need tickets for those, I do have the link. In fact, if you scroll down my Facebook page, under the information for the event, there's the link right at the end. So where I put the email address and the contact phone number, there's the link right after that for both Elizabeth and New Jersey. Purchase your tickets right at that link. If you have questions about the event, you want to vend or be an open and act, or you have another question, then call them or email them. But I'm not the host, I'm the guest speaker. So for Elizabeth in New Jersey, for any event that's not listed on Eventbrite, I'm not the host. Now I still need to put Los Angeles on Eventbrite. I still need to put Baltimore on Eventbrite, and I still need to put Durham, North Carolina on Eventbrite, okay? But for New Jersey and New York City, I'm the speaker, not the host. So please reach out to them with the contact information that was provided. Looking forward to coming on back to Queens. Looking forward to coming on back to Elizabeth. So with that being said, I want to thank everybody for chiming into this morning's call. We will be back next week. Stay black. One love.